What's up, people? I'm Wale Ogunleye, head of sports and entertainment at UBS. But before that, I spent 11 years in the NFL tackling quarterbacks. Today, I have the privilege of helping hundreds of athletes and entertainers grow their businesses and investment portfolios. Welcome to Level Up, where we explore different financial literacy topics to equip you with the knowledge you need to be financially fit. Let's get started. On today's episode of Level Up, we're talking everyone's favorite topic, relationships and money.
If it's a business relationship, yes. If it's a personal relationship, no. Stay away from that.
On this 8th episode of Level Up, Relationships and Money, we're joined by Kristi Castlin.
And it's Kristi Castlin who comes through to get it in 12.82.
Kristi Castlin is a 5-time NCAA champion with Virginia Tech and a bronze medalist in the 2016 Olympics in the 100-meter hurdles.
When did you start talking about money in your relationship?
I never think that it's too early to start talking about finances in a relationship, but I would definitely say after that initial honeymoon phase is over.
I started talking about my finances in my relationship extremely early. And the first kind of competitive thing we did was compare our credit scores. And that was a good indication of where we were in our finances.
I think it's very important to discuss finances when you're dating someone. I think having those hard conversations, or it may not even be hard, just making sure you all are on the same page about budgeting, lifestyle, what type of house you want to have, what type of cars, what type of schools you want your kids to go to, your future, and how you see yourself spending money financially. What's your credit score? How do you feel about credit? How do you feel about saving? I just think having those money conversations as frequent as possible and getting on the same page, that is just a great tool to help you and your partner navigate through the financial obligation of a relationship.
For more insight on why exactly this happens, let's hear from one of our advisors at UBS, Ronnie Brown.
Hi, I'm Ronnie Brown, financial advisor with UBS. When you talk about money, relationships, it's absolutely important to have those conversations about money because we come from different backgrounds. Our understanding, our relationship with money may be very different. And so it's always great to be on the same page. Pretty much like playing football, having a game plan. I recently learned a little something from the women's segment of On Your Worth report of 2021. Currently, only about 20% of couples make long-term financial decisions together. But nearly 100% of women and men believe that women should be more involved in financial decisions.
Wale, how did your parents talk about money with each other?
I never was privy to the conversations that my parents had about money. And I think that's the reason why I was extremely ill prepared when I first got my NFL contract. My parents never talked about money with us. I never saw them talk about money. I just saw them struggle day to day and try to make ends meet. And that's my only experience with money.
My mom being head of household really impacted me as far as managing my finances. She was pretty much, I don't want to say like a money hoarder, but she really emphasized saving. She really emphasized how much something cost. She always used to say, when my brother and I would say like, Mom, we want to get this, or we want to go to McDonald's, we want something. She was like, yeah, go in the backyard and pull some money right off that tree. I have to give my mom a lot of credit as far as my financial success now, because she really did teach me how to manage money well.
Did you know the women's client segment at UBS surveyed 1,500 men and women in marriages or partnerships? We wanted to know why some men are bridges to women's financial involvement and others are barriers. 7 out of 10 men say they take the lead on long-term financial decisions. Overwhelmingly, they believe they know more about long-term finances than their spouse. More than 80% feel it's their responsibility as husbands to make long-term financial decisions for their household. We at UBS believe that couples should be more involved with all their financial decisions equally. It's everyone's responsibility to be involved with finances. not just men.
My favorite part of the show. Let's head to the street for the question of the day.
Wale, what have you learned most about approaching financial decisions in your relationships?
My biggest learning with my relationship and financial decisions is communication. I feel like it's important for my wife to know every single thing when it comes to our expenses, our income. A great place for couples to start sharing the responsibilities of finance equally is by simply starting the conversation around money. There are 3 money conversations you should be having with your spouse. 1, the mechanics conversation. Will you share assets in your relationship? As a couple, you must decide if you're sharing assets and if that means sharing bank accounts. 2, the money language conversation. This is all about each partner's attitude about money and spending. Together, you need to make high-level budgeting decisions and make sure you stay on track even though you spend differently. And lastly, the goals conversation. You need to make sure your goals are aligned with your partner and that you're planning accordingly. This will impact how you each spend and save daily. Another great idea for couples is to set up a no judgment zone. My wife's gonna love this one. This involves making direct deposits and investing automatically, and then allocating what's left to each person to spend freely with no judgment. On this episode of Level Up, we discuss relationships and money. The right decision can be different for each couple, but you need to be on the same page to keep the relationship and financial picture healthy. This one's pretty simple for me. I give you 3 keys that I want you to leave here with. Communication, communication, and lastly, communication. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.